because life is not easy. And I know for me personally, when I lost my son, it was really helpful to read other people's memoirs who were on a similar journey to mine of losing a child. That was one of the first things I did once I was able to do something other than just kind of staying in bed.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Living the Next Chapter. I love talking to authors. This lights me up. I've been talking to authors now for the podcast and pre-interviews and interviews. I have spoken to some of the most amazing people. And today I have yet another amazing author in the works. It's exciting. Debbie Gail is here with me today. Debbie is a coach. She helps people, and she's in the process of writing her own book based on her story, her life, and some of the things that she's experienced. Debbie, welcome to Living the Next Chapter. It's so nice to have you with us.
Thank you so much, Dave. It's so nice to be here.
It's really good. So we want to jump right in. We want to talk about the book and the process and becoming a new author. Your book is not finished yet. You're in the process. Kind of give us an update on, first of all, the status of the book. Where are you at in the writing process?
Yeah, so I am in the process of writing, and I'm about 2/3 of the way through my first draft. So I expect to be done with the first draft in the next couple of months. So that's where I am.
Great. So when did all this start for you? When was the first time you got on the computer or you took out a pen and started writing?
I think it was around the end of February.
Okay. And so far, are you feeling inspired? Are you feeling like it's a lot of hard work? Let me know, how does this feel so far?
So it feels amazing, actually, because it's kind of it kind of goes along with my life purpose, writing this book. And it's really kind of connected me with my son, who is my journey of, when I get into the book, you'll understand what it's about. So it really connects me with him on a really deep level. And I'm really enjoying writing it. This will not be my last book.
Awesome. I love that. It's kind of, I had one author tell me it's like a tattoo. You get one and you just got to have another one and another one and another one.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow,
yeah.
that's a big investment. So yeah. So writing a book is a great way to express a story. And as we talked before we hit record, everyone has a story, and it's great to share that story. And for you to do that, it's excellent. So let's go there with the story. In talking to you previously and today as well, there's a big story behind writing the book, behind where you are in life today with your coaching business and what you're doing to help people. Can you take us back and share with us some of the story that inspired the book and all of the things that you're doing to help people today?
Yes. So it basically, my journey into book writing started after losing my 26-year-old son. After he passed away, I did a lot of soul searching, a lot of just rethinking my whole life and why am I here? What is my purpose in life? And he had passed away after a 9-year journey, a 9-year battle with a serious mental illness and later drug addiction. And so those 9 years had a lot of challenges along the way, and it wasn't easy. And as a parent, I was able to be there for him, support him, love him, and have a really great relationship with him despite our challenges. And I was able to find peace for myself. And so after he passed away, when I was kind of in that phase where I was searching for my life purpose, what I determined was that I felt really passionate about helping other parents who went through a similar journey to mine, parents of teens or young adults that had mental illness and or addiction, because life is not easy. And I know for me personally, when I lost my son, it was really helpful to read other people's memoirs who were on a similar journey to mine of losing a child. That was one of the first things I did once I was able to do something other than just kind of staying in bed. And it helped me. So one of the purposes of writing my book is so that other parents out there will not feel alone. So parents on a similar journey, it would give them hope for peace and healing and the inspiration to go on. And it would also be helpful for parents that have lost a child as well, because I will talk about in part 3 of my book about my journey healing after, which is a process. It's a process still in the works, but my journey. And so this book is something that I'm really, really passionate about. And it's also the same direction that I took my coaching business. So when I write it, it doesn't feel like work. It's really enjoyable. I carve out time out of my schedule every day to work on my book in some way. And it's also been part of my healing process as well. And, I feel it connects me to my son through sharing the memories. Even though a lot of the memories are tough situations, he had a number of hospitalizations and treatment centers, and we had a lot of scares. There were definitely several times that I almost lost him to drug overdoses along the way. And the only chapter that was really hard to write was the one about when I found out he passed away in the funeral. The other chapters have been really connecting me to him and connecting me to all these beautiful memories, which is also another reason that makes me so passionate about helping these parents, is because we never know how long we have or how long someone else has. And so, I really am passionate about other parents having that really close, loving relationship with their child, because I'm so grateful that I did. I know part of my healing after losing him was that I could go through with my other 2 kids and we could, just talk about these wonderful memories that we had with Alex. And it was, I'm just so grateful that we had that relationship. And so it can be hard sometimes, though, because I know I've spoken to a lot of parents that are really just struggling in the relationship with their child, because of all the challenges that come up. There's a lot of conflict, a lot of battles, a lot of kind of battles over control. And so I want to work with them so that I can help them. I can help them to deal with their fears, to have healing and peace for themselves, and to have a closer relationship with their child.
So you talked about some of the great memories that came surfaced while you were writing the book. Can you share a little bit more about your son and some of the fun things, what he was into, who he was, like the things that when you think of these things about your son, it makes you smile. Can you tell us more about him?
Oh, absolutely. And these are in the book as well, because it's so important. I think I saw him as a whole person and not just his illness, and it's important for other parents. So he was, some really interesting things about him. He was so passionate about religion, but not one particular one. Throughout his lifetime, he would delve deep into one religion at a time, and he would literally study everything he could learn about it, get so involved in it. If there was a baptism into that religion, he would get baptized into it. And it would last for, it could be several years or even several months, a few of them. And then, suddenly he was on to the next one. And it was almost funny, but I could see in his years of his, in his years when he was maybe in his 20s, I could see how sometimes he returned to the same religion more than once too. But I could see how it helped him. I think that it gave him a sense of purpose in his life, a place where he felt he fit in. I think it helped him a lot. Um, he was a very social person, and he was so kind to everybody. And so, in the area of religion, it seemed like everybody was accepting of him. And so I think that was a really important thing for him. So that was some of the cute memories. And I went to all of his baptisms, he would be so excited. He would get, it's just, I was actually just writing, some about the religion in the book, and I was, talking to my other kids to make sure I was getting the timeline about the different religions and everything. And it was a really, good memory, because I know it was such a positive thing for him. Another big part of, what he loved to study, like genetics and ancestry. Like he would do these, I think it was 23andMe was the company he talked about. And this is starting at maybe age 14. And it went all the way up until he passed away. He was so interested. He did his DNA. He did my DNA. And he wouldn't just be satisfied with that. He would go online and go into these chat rooms with professors on genetics and learn different ways to interpret the tests, and new calculators would come out, and he'd update me, and he'd talk about, he was so passionate about it. I always wished that he was able to really have gone to college to be able to do something like this, because he certainly knew as much about it as any professor. He just he just wasn't able, because of his illness, to do the schooling. But that was another thing that was just, and then the other big thing also in his life is, he was just so into family. Like he would just, like, that would just light him up. Like he would always get so excited, even as a teenager, when we'd have, like, his grandparents or other family members come, he would be like, just so excited. And all the way till he passed away, whenever he and his siblings and me, we would get together, he would be looking forward to it. Like,
Nice.
As soon as we planned it, he'd just be so excited. We're all going to be together. It's just a really, he's just a really kind and compassionate person. And so that was just so wonderful. Of course, along the journey from his diagnosis at age 17, there were definitely some tough times where his anger sides come out, and we definitely had a lot of struggles, but he had such a kind heart. And even if he said things that were like lashing out at me, he always came and apologized. And I could see it. I knew it was his illness and not his true self. So
that's an interesting point you're making there, is to separate those two. Right.
I did.
The one thing I'm hearing too, as you talk about him, and I can see the love that you have for him that will never go away, first of all, but I can see the love you have for him. It seemed like he was on a search for community, whether that's family or through like a religion, but you're talking about him just being a part of a group and part of something bigger than he is. And then the genetics, everything, right? Finding his ancestry. He's always kind of like, it seemed like he was trying to build a world around him, right? That he could belong to. And I love that curiosity that he had. That's amazing. It's really amazing.
He was such a unique and special child always. And I know he had a really hard life, because his mental illness was really hard, and then the drugs really took over a lot. And then he ended up with so many health issues, type 1 diabetes, epilepsy. He had seizures pretty much every week, would end up in the hospital, sometimes stitches, and he had a really hard life. And, after he passed away, I see him as somebody who was stronger than we ever realized. Not stronger in the ability to care for himself, but stronger in the ability to live through the life that he did with the illnesses he was suffering from.
Wow. So as a parent, what kind of perspective do you have now that you look back? Because they always say that when you look back in your life, things seem to make more sense than they did at the time. And you can get a bigger perspective when you look back. How have you, when you look back at everything that has gone on with your son and your relationship and all the things, what have you kind of learned about that whole stage of your life and your son?
I think the importance of really having that relationship, really like developing that emotional connection and keeping it as a priority, because that's just one thing that I am so grateful for. Is that I'm close. I was so close with him, and I'm close with my other two children. And, I can't imagine my life without that. And, but I can look back now, like you said, in hindsight, I was looking to like, what did I do? Why were we so close? Why was I so close with him despite all the difficulties? Despite that, especially in his teens, we did argue and we did conflict and we did want different things. But I think some of the things are, I was always that safe space for him. I was always non-judgmental.
Yeah.
And my other kids have told me this as well. And so he always could come to me and be honest with me. Not always in the moment. It's not like every time he used drugs, he would be telling me, because that was, quite a lot.
Yeah.
But he would get honest, like periodically. He would come to me if he was in trouble. He would come to me. I mean, we found out about his mental illness because one day at age 17, he came to me because he was suicidal. And that was when he was first hospitalized. So I trusted he would come to me, and he trusted I would be that safe space, not that person who, judged him, not that person who put him down, not that person who had to lecture him. I think it's really important that when a child comes to you, you give them that space to speak whatever they came to you on. And sometimes it's so easy to just, start going right into lecture mode, or why they're wrong, or why they need to do it. And I think, I didn't do that. And I also, I think the big thing is like, I was able to see him as a whole person. I was able to, kind of like be on the same, so that we're playing for the same team. It doesn't mean that every moment we wanted the same thing, because I certainly didn't want him using drugs, and he was doing that throughout, the rest of his life. But his well-being and his happiness and his health, all of those were really important to me. How he felt, how life was for him, how our relationship was. And so we could have this common ground where we are on the same page.
It's amazing. So let's talk about the book. You have a working title. The book's not complete yet, but you have a working title. Can you tell us all the working title for the book at this point?
Sure. The working title is Finding Purpose Amid the Tears. And the subtitle is My Journey of the Love and Loss of My Son Through His Mental Illness and Addiction.
So writing a book, what is your hope for this book? Do you I assume you have an audience in mind, but why write a book? Why will this make a difference in someone's life?
Yeah, so my hope for the book is that by sharing my story of the love and loss of my son, and how I turned my pain into purpose, and how I found peace, that the book will help other parents who are on a similar journey, so that they don't feel alone, and it will hopefully give them hope for peace and healing and the inspiration to go on.
Wow. And now, the book also carries over into your coaching as well? So,
it does.
So remember, if we jump back a little bit, you talked about your son trying to build community through religion, through family, right?
Yes.
You're building community in a similar way, helping other people via your website, through your coaching, and through your book. You are actually doing exactly the same thing your son was doing by building community around a message, which is, I got a little bit of a chill there, but that's amazing that you are carrying on the legacy of your son in his hunger and thirst to have community around him. You're doing the exact same thing. That's amazing. So tell me about the coaching that you offer, and maybe if you have like an example of somebody you've worked with. Obviously, you're not going to be talking names or anything, but maybe an example of somebody you've worked with and you've kind of seen some progress in their life by them working with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, wait, what was your first question? I'm sorry. I was going to answer the second one. I don't want to miss the first one.
Yeah. So just about the community aspect and how working with somebody you've helped benefit them and help them improve in their journey.
Right. Yeah. So you did ask who is my audience. So yeah, it would be the same audience for the coaching. It would be those parents of teens and young adults. Because my hope is to help them to let go of their fears and live a life of peace and purpose, while building that loving relationship with their child. And, so the reason that, the fears and the peace are so important is because if we're talking about building a loving relationship with our child, we also have to make sure we take care of ourselves. We have to manage our fears. If we're just living in this, this fear, this pain, this like, when is the next shoe going to drop? You're not present. And you can't be present for your child. You're probably not sleeping well. You're probably not doing good self-care. And so you're not in the best position to deal with the challenges that come up, because there are challenges in lives. There's challenges as a parent anyway, but there's even more so when you've got the child with mental illness or addiction. And so dealing with these fears and finding peace it is so important to the relationship with them. And so one of the things that I have helped with, I had a parent, that was really having a tough time, with her daughter. And her daughter was in her 20s, and she was so consumed with fear. Like I was saying, she really wasn't present with her daughter when they didn't live together. But when she saw her daughter, she wasn't present. She was so fearful. She, instead of setting boundaries to kind of help her emotional well-being, she was putting up a wall. And so the relationship was just deteriorating to the point where she couldn't see her daughter. It was just too hard for her. And so we kind of worked on those fears and those what ifs, and also kind of like breaking down those walls and establishing, healthy, loving boundaries. Cause it's such a difference with boundaries. The energy can still flow. With a wall, the energy is blocked and our child doesn't feel our love. We still have love for them, but a wall, it's blocked. And so we want to open up that love. And so I worked with her to kind of, on those fears and to really get in touch with the compassion and set these boundaries. And so she started having, outings with her daughter and spending time together. And it's been going great. Like she started it slowly, and then they've now been spending time together on a regular basis. And her daughter has actually been respecting the boundaries, and so she's feeling better. And so yeah, that's a really happy story that made me really feel good. Brought tears to my eyes to see that.
That's amazing. That's great. Like, it's amazing when you can, again, take a message, take a life lesson that's been lived, and then turn around and help somebody else who may not be having the same experience that you've had, but need somebody to come and support them and to walk with them. So the coaching aspect is amazing. I'm so happy to see that you're able to do that and continue, like we said, this legacy of community. It's a very rewarding thing to help and talk and speak into somebody's life, and then to add in there the book as well, which can then far reach beyond, where you are today and open more doors for the future as well.
Yeah,
it's great.
I do. I'm really excited about the book coming out. I have a lot of people who have expressed interest already, that they want to read it. And like I said, it brought me so much healing to read memoirs of other people's story. It just kind of that common ground, that commonality, that not feeling alone. kind of just feeling like there is hope. There's hope to get through what you're going through now and come out the other side.
Yeah. Oh, it's exciting. Okay. So what is the best way for people to connect with you? We are going to have you back, I hope, in the future when the book is done and we can tell everybody and release it again. So that's an option for you to come back. I would love to have you back. But for those who want to connect with you now, talk to you about coaching, talk to you about your book, how can people reach you the best way?
Yeah. So one way would be my website. It's DebbieGailCoaching.com, and Gail is Gail. So it's DebbieGailCoaching.com. I'm also on Facebook under Debbie Gail Coaching and Debbie Gail. And I'm on Instagram and YouTube, Debbie Gail Coaching.
Awesome. So, okay, let's end off with this. I like to ask my authors this near the end of the podcast. We're going to be wrapping up here in a moment. What is your message to the world, Debbie? What do you want to say? You have people listening potentially around the world right now. What is your message to the world?
My message is that life is precious and so are relationships. And no one ever knows how much time we have or someone else has. And so we want to be really living to our fullest at every moment and letting our loved ones know how much we love them. And, relationships are a huge part of our lives and a huge part of our joy in life too. So really to treasure them.
It's a great message. Really, really good. Debbie, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. Continue working hard on that book so that we can get back again together and have a second episode where we can actually release the book and talk about all the joys of having the book done. You can hold it up for me and show it, and let's celebrate the book when it's all done. Please come back. Would you please come back?
Sounds awesome. I would love to come back. I
Awesome.
really would. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
Very good. Thank you, Debbie. Have a great day. Everyone, thank you for listening to Living the Next Chapter. Love talking to authors, especially Debbie. Thank you so much. And your story, and for your son, thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hi, guys. This is Dave from Living the Next Chapter, a podcast designed to connect authors and audiences. We're always on the lookout for our next interview. If you're an author, a publisher, and you have a book, whether you're just starting, whether you're halfway through writing, or it's all done and you want to tell the world, that's why we're here at Living the Next Chapter. Get in touch with us through livingthenextchapter.com. Contact us, and let's set up some time together to discuss your book, to discuss your project, and how we can get you on the show. My name is Dave, and I would love to speak to you. So go to livingthenextchapter.com, and let's get over there together and discuss all the great things that you're up to as an author, as a publisher, and let's grow your audience together. Join us on livingthenextchapter.com for great authors and an audience that's eager to hear about what you're up to as an author and a publisher. Contact us today, and let's get your book out in front of others. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.